So marketing plans. So the marketing plan is kind of one of the first major things you will do within your marketing kind of journey. When you're first setting up your business, or you're first jumping onto a business, or you're first starting a new job, you either want to consult or create or kind of optimize your marketing plan. So a marketing plan is a little bit like a business plan, if you've done one of those before, but it's very kind of specific to marketing. The benefits is, you take a good hard look every year at your marketing strategy, and you get to see it and kind of look back and see what's worked, what hasn't. Have you stuck to these things? Are you doing what you wanted and achieving the goals that you originally set? Kind of like, think of it, as I said, as like a high level plan that guides you the direction of your team's campaigns, goals, their growth. But every company is different, so every marketing plan is different too. So there's no clear exact template for all of them. But this is around about right what most companies should have in their marketing plan. So if you want to set one up and you've just started up a business, or you haven't made a marketing plan before for your business, I would use this kind of template. So you would have a business summary. This would be a little bit like you would in a business plan. So you'd have your company name, your leadership team in marketing, your headquarters, office locations, mission statement, and your SWOT analysis. You can also throw a pestle in there if you wanted to as well. Your business initiatives. So these are, what are your company goals? So as a company, what is it you want to do? If you're a restaurant, is there a certain amount of, customers you want in the door? Is there a certain amount of food items you want on your menu by the end of the year? Is there an amount of specials that you want sold during a 6-month period? And then you also want to start adding in those marketing goals and initiatives. I would recommend doing the other things first and then going back to that at the end. Then your target market, so what we mentioned before, so these will be your segmentation, your strategic target market, and then what Daniel said, which is about your buyer personas. So you place those buyer personas in there, make them as nice or as easy to read as you want. Then a competitive analysis, so you want to look at your competitors, see what they're doing from a marketing perspective and a business perspective. So what are their USP, what is different that they are bringing to the table, and then how do they portray that on and offline. Then you want the marketing strategy. So this is where the kind of bigger kind of filler pieces of what are you doing goes in here. We call this the 7 Ps. This is actually a thing within marketing theory that's been going for around 50 years. And it stands for product, price, performance, people, process, physical evidence. That last P does change depending on who you ask and which professors and stuff. But product is, what is your product? Price, how are you pricing it? And that doesn't just mean how much. Looking to the different ways of pricing. So for example, Amazon, they have a very specific pricing model, which is where they undercut and make things very cheap, and actually they lose money on a lot of their Amazon things they do, a lot of their services and products they do, but they do that in order to undercut and gain a very large market share, and then later on they can kind of push that price back up. So that's called price skimming. So that is an example of a pricing strategy. So when you're thinking about price, don't just think about how much is it going to cost, because everyone usually when they start a product or a service, they go, well, I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with $7.99 because it sounds right. Or I'm going to do £8 because that's what everyone else is doing. You really want to, actually have a look and see what is beneficial, what will be work behaviorally. For example, stuff like putting 99p instead of £1, or putting £2.99 instead of £3. That has behavioral psychological impact because consumers perceive it as a lower amount, even though it's only 1p or 1 cent difference. So you want to take into all these things into consideration.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, I know I keep talking about Apple, but what's the difference between Amazon and Apple is that Apple, the one that they want to talk to and they want to sell to are the people who are always want the newest stuff and they always want to stand out. So what they do is that they put the price higher when they introduce a new product. So because these people that they're trying to serve are appealing to that kind of thing. So that's a strategy. It's not just because it's expensive. Yeah. It is because the people that they want to sell to are behaving behave or in that behavior.
Yeah, it's also because sometimes when a price is higher, it means that, you know, people perceive it as a higher quality, even if it isn't. That's not a slam at Apple. That's just sometimes many products or services, they are more expensive, even though they only have a very small exponential difference in quality. You know, luxury products work in this way. So pricing strategy is very important. Don't overestimate that. Promotion. So this is, how are you going to kind of promote your product or service? So are you going to use online advertising, social media, billboards, newspapers, and it goes for paid and non-paid. So there's organic and non-organic, which we'll go to in a little bit further down the line. Processes. So what are your processes within your marketing team? You know, what software are you using? What CRM platforms? What is the processes between your people? There's lots of different things that are involved in that. And then physical evidence. So this is basically, how can you prove it? So what's going to be your measure of success? Is very important, not to just do marketing and then leave it. It's very important to see that physical evidence of you actually achieving the goals that you want to achieve. So make things realistic, and make things that you want to actually achieve, and you need to keep up on them and regularly check that you're reaching the goals that you want to and adjusting accordingly. The last thing before the channels is the budget. So this is how much money you actually have. A lot of people will put in a budget that they can't actually afford. Look into, set a budget aside for marketing, and then leave it at that. Do not kind of take away, do not say, well, if this month you can do that, or this month. Set a budget, say £1,000 a month or so. This is a very rough estimate. It could be way higher, way less. But let's say you set 1,000 aside a month, and that is for your marketing aspect, all your marketing approaches, all your marketing efforts. That £1,000 goes to that, and you don't touch that otherwise. You can always top up if things are doing better, but it's good to set a budget so you know, and you can work that around into your strategy. And then finally is the marketing channels. That's just an extension on promotion. So why should you have a marketing strategy? As I said, it helps you strategize. It helps you formalize those ideas into one place. It gets you used to working to timescales, because otherwise, a lot of people, when they're first starting out, they set these marketing goals arbitrarily, put them, you know, either in their head, or they just talk between each other, and they don't have clear timescales of when they want to achieve these things. It will help you get financing. If you are looking to get you know, investment or money from a venture capitalist, then you will need to show a marketing plan, most likely, with your business plans. So it's very useful to have that as well. It aligns your objectives with your business strategy. You don't want to just be doing marketing that isn't related to what your business actually wants. And also it helps you develop an enviable public persona. So this is a good way of you being able to kind of put yourself out there, you and your business, kind of as the expertise, if you follow this accordingly. So pro tip with the marketing strategy, best way to set up your marketing plan for the year is to start with quick wins first. It might be more internally beneficial to kind of set up in order of when you want to do stuff. But if you start it with the quick wins of like, okay, I can do that in about 2 days, or I can do that in about 2 weeks, or I can do that in about a month, and you know it's achievable, it's a lot easier to tick. Everybody loves just to tick something off a checklist. It's the best thing, is it not?
Emails are the best.
Yeah, just getting rid of that inbox down to 0. So if you can do that, it makes it so much easier. And then you can hit those more challenging goals and more sophisticated products towards the end of the year in Q4, and you can set more time to them because everything else has been taken off the checklist. The other thing is SMART goals. So when you're making these objectives, both business and marketing objectives, make them SMART. So make it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If you've done a business course or a marketing course or anything to do with business, you would have seen this before. I would recommend, out of everything we talk about today, this is one of the most important things. It's very important to, when setting goals, to make sure they follow this formula.
If you liked our content, don't forget to press the thumbs up button.
And if you found it valuable, press subscribe.
And don't forget to press the bell icon to see when we're doing our next videos.